Chapter 5. Rule number 5. Only eat apples. Sometimes we may think we know the answers to everything, that we solved all the variables, but we're really quite stupid when it comes to knowledge in the long run. I guess what some ponies don't understand is that sometimes the truth is too much to handle, yet we go looking for it anyway, like some dumb, ignorant animal scavenging for food. Maddening, isn't it? Starswell the Bearded. For a length of time unknown, Twilight slept more peacefully than she had in ages. Sleep and warmth wafted over her, cradling her, cooing to her, nuzzling and hugging her as the world went on without her. No nightmares plagued her this night. None since she fell asleep in the cradling hooves of a pony she could only assume was Big Macintosh. All it took was for him to say that she and Katie was safe, and the sleep came. She still couldn't believe it. The more she thought about it, she had ferried herself and the young filly across the street of afflicted that by the rules standards shouldn't have been there in the first place. They were active, they were mobile, and they were attacking at night. What's worse is that they even narrowed down Twilight's method of escape. They had tracked her from the market to the library. And what if they tracked her to the library? Or if they tracked her to the library, then... Twilight sat up quickly, her eyes snapping open and her head looked around in every direction. Racks of wine and cider bottles lined two of the walls, with a few sets of tools and a wheelbarrow lining another. All around, crates and boxes were standing up near the staircase, leading upwards, and from the musty smell, Twilight could only assume she was in some kind of cellar or basement. Her bed being an old sort of table, a dimly lit lantern set upon the small nightstand to her left, gently flickering light across her lavender fur. Panic had started to set in for the wary unicorn, her heart thudding as the possibility of danger flooded her mind. If they tracked her escape to the library, they could most certainly track her escape to the house across the street. She hopped off the table and quickly made her way to the stairs, praying to Luna that everything was still okay, that Katie was safe as well as with her friends. Just as her hoof hit the first step, however, the door at the top of the staircase opened. Twilight let out a tiny gasp and quickly hid beneath the stairs, holding her breath as she heard the small pattering of hoofs above her head. She heard a creak just above her horn, and her breath caught. Whatever was descending the staircase had stopped. The next few seconds were utterly maddening for Twilight. her heart pounding and her heartbeat thudding in her ears. There was a few more awkward moments of silence until, "Oh, really? Where could she have gone? It's probably all this dreadful cellar air. I told Macintosh that the room was more suited for a lady, not this drafty, and not to mention dirty, little cellar. How barbaric!" Twilight had to suppress her urge to scream in joy, scrambling out from under the stairs and gasping out, "Rarity!" Rarity looked as she always had. Her mane seemed to be in a bit of an unkempt state like Twilight's, and a long white bandage covering her socket. The diva let out a little squeak of fright as Twilight emerged from her hiding place, her voice that of a scolding manner. "Oh, Twilight, please! Do you really think this is the time for hide-and-seek? I think all that loneliness was really starting to drive you insane." Twilight wept tears of joy as she threw her front hose around Rarity and squeezing her into a tight hug. "Rarity," Twilight whimpered, sobbing into her neck. "Thank Luna. Oh, thank the stars, you're okay." Rarity smiled, giving her friend a gentle hug back and running a hoof up and down her spine. "Of course, dear, we're all okay. Macintosh cut the rope with your basket on it after those dreadful monsters left. You had us all in fright. Spike most of all. I can't even describe what we felt when we saw them crashing into your library, and you heard you and the little one's screams." "I know," Twilight whispered, her sobs quieting after a moment. "I know, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gone outside. But Rarity, she's just a filly. She was attacked and she didn't have a choice." Rarity nodded slightly, pulling back to look her weeping friend in the eye. "I know, darling. There's nothing to apologize for. I would have done the same were Sweetie Belle out there." She felt tears well up in her eyes as the mention of her sister's name. "Sweetie. Oh, I hope she's okay." Twilight smiled, putting a reassuring hoof on Rarity's shoulder and whispering, "She will be. She's got Fluttershy and the other Crusaders with her." "Oh, Twilight," whimpered Rarity, a tear rolling down her cheek. "Can you imagine if I hadn't allowed Sweetie Belle to go to that slumber party? If I had made her stay and clean up her like I told her countless times to do?" Twilight shook her head, giving her friend another hug and whispering, No, I can't imagine. And I think it's best if we don't. What you should think about is, and be grateful for, is that you did let her go, and she's safe because of it." The diva nodded as Twilight pulled away, motioning upwards with her head. "I suppose you'll want to get out of this dreadful little cellar." "I know I would." With a quick nod from Twilight, the two of them begun to make their way up the stairs. "You'll be pleased to know," Rarity whispered, in a noticeably quieter voice, "that we're all still here. Big Macintosh is here, as is Carrot Top. Spike, too, who snuck down here to see you. Had to pull the poor dear off of you after he fell asleep on your belly. Katie's been fine as well. Always asks if you're okay." "How long have I been asleep?" Twilight whispered. the two of them nearing the top of the staircase. Rarity turned her head back a moment, staring at Twilight, with a half-worried look on her face. 2 days, actually. Twilight blinked in surprise, her voice one of disbelief. 2 days? Rarity nodded, her eyes filling with the look of guilt which forced her to look away. Well, what's wrong? I slept for days before, back when I did some power studying. I know that, Twilight, it's just, well, you were running a fever and, well, we thought that, Rarity whimpered, unable to look at Twilight. That I was infected, Twilight whispered, a frown passing over her face. Well, sort of, answered Rarity, a sullen frown forming on her own face. I've checked on you constantly, though, because I'd the symptoms and such. I knew you weren't one of them after a good 10 minutes had passed. But still, Macintosh kept you in the basement. You were tossing and turning so much. He thought you might roll out the bed and make noise that would, you know. Twilight sighed, a small smile creeping up on her face.